Man, great minds think alike. But truth is truth, and the truth is very simple. You cannot outperform who you think you are. And so I'm grateful that you went over this Monday, but we're definitely going to dive even deeper into it today. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, for having me today. And, like Brother Coach Pipe said, that I work anywhere from executives and CEOs of $100 million corporations all the way to convicted murderers doing the exact same work. I've worked with many real estate agents in the past. Uh, Chris Irwin is one of my former clients that I've worked with, which is why when Coach Pipes brought up self-image at your event, he sent me a screenshot and he's like, hey, I need to introduce you two together because this is all you ever talk about. And so I'm excited to be here. Um, but I also want to prepare your listening. I'm not here to fix you because there's nothing that needs to be fixed. I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to simply share with you the human condition, something we all share. When I was talking to Coach Pipes earlier, I said there's a gentleman who I work with that just came out with a new book. And this guy has made over $100 million over in the UK. Like he's the guy in the UK. And I said, hey, you should go on Diary of a CEO. Has anybody ever heard of that podcast, Diary of a CEO? Raise your hand. Yes. Diary of a CEO is one of the most popular podcasts on YouTube. And this guy just interviews some of the world's thought leaders, politicians, from presidents all the way to, um, you know, top thought leaders. But in who's who, any who's who, you've heard of Mel Robbins, you've heard of Tony Robbins, you've heard of all these people, all of them fight to get on to Diary of a CEO. So I'm talking to this gentleman, and like I said, he's made over $100 million. And I said, hey, you should launch your book on Diary of a CEO. And he goes, you think they'll have me? I said, what? What? He says, do you think I'm good enough to be on this show? Again, this guy's made over $100 million. He puts on conferences around the UK that puts thousands of butts in the seats. And yet, when I told him he should go on the number one podcast, I think it's right below Joe Rogan, he asked if he was good enough. And so, what Coach Pipes has been talking about with self image is not just someone who hasn't made $1 million yet problem. No, this is a human condition. You cannot and will not outperform your self image. And so, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to help share the journey of the human condition and how we become to think, or how we become and how we begin to think the way we think, and how we begin to believe what we believe. And as I share this with you, a couple of things. I encourage you. One, not to listen for what you agree with, excuse me. And number two, I encourage you not to listen for what you disagree with. Because if you listen for what you agree with or disagree with, you're going to miss half the conversation. So I encourage you just to listen. Listen just to listen. The second thing I'd like to encourage you to do is to listen to all the stories I share about you, not about the person that I'm talking about. Because every human being is simply just a mirror for you to look into, and whatever you can notice and resonate about with that person is something that's going on inside of you. So I encourage you, whatever stories we share today, listen to the stories about you. And after I set up the foundation for this conversation, that I'm going to open it up for Q&A so that we can actually personalize everything that I'm going to share so that you can make the leap in 2026 that you want to make. So I'm glad that he did the whole 7-figure version of you, because we are going to do some of that today. We're going to take that a little bit deeper. But here's my question. How many of you brought your 7-figure version with you today? How many of you have access to it? I'm scrolling down. Okay, if you have access to that right now, go ahead and type it in the chat. Just give me a 1 in the chat if you have it.
It's really big. Do you want us to just drop the whole document in, or what do
No,
you?
I don't want you to drop the document, just the 1 that you have it. That's it, that you have access to it.
So a yes or no.
Yep, just a simple yes or no.
Got it.
Awesome. And so we're going to be using that, and I'm going to give you a little bit extra of a prompt. So we're going to set everything up, and I promise you, by the time we're done with this call today, not only are you going to see how to shift everything for you, but you're also going to realize that with the teams that you manage, what you're actually managing. Because you're not managing behavior, you're managing stories. And I'm going to get into what that means in just a moment. Okay, so I want you all to get your 7-figure versions of yourselves, get access to it. And if you don't have it, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you a prompt as well. So, something about the human condition. Whatever results you're experiencing right now, 85% of what you believe about yourself, you already decided by the time you were 14. This is the human condition. So I'm going to use my daughter as an example. How many of you have children? If you have children, raise your hand. Good. Right now, my daughter is 2 years old. She has no idea she's even alive yet. No idea. Now, her name is Kaya, and she'll respond to Kaya, but she has yet to look in the mirror and notice I am Kaya. Do you understand what I mean by that, parents? When that self awareness kicks in. And Elena, I'm looking directly at you and Alex and Ace, what is that? A Carson. So I'm gonna be looking at y'all as I'm going forward for engagement. Okay. So she is yet to recognize, good. Anne says her son is 4. So there's that time period, right, where it's just pure divine being, where they have no sense of identity, no sense of self. There's no story, there's no thought. There's just that full sense of wonder. You know what I mean? But one day, she's going to look in the mirror and she's going to recognize, oh, I'm Kaya. You understand what I mean? She's going to see herself. Oh, I'm Kaya. And when she does that, the story or the movie of Kaya begins. And because she's the star of her own movie, she's going to take everything that she experiences personally. Are you with me? And she's going to be using her own logic to decide what things mean and what things don't mean. So, interpreting all of her experiences. And whenever self awareness kicks in, every human being, all of us on this call have asked, who am I? Where am I from? Why am I here? What can I do? And where am I going? Those are the 5 innate questions of every human being the moment self awareness kicks in.
Can you give those to us one more time? I'm writing as
Yep.
fast as I can. So, yeah, thank you.
Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I from? What can I do? And where am I going? Let me give you another way to look at that. Imagine you woke up out of a coma with amnesia. That's what happens with every child when that self awareness kicks in. They go from not knowing they're alive to all of a sudden, oh, oh shit, I'm here. Like, I'm here. Does anybody put a 1 in the chat if you remember that moment for you? Like when it was just like there's that, Like, oh, and to give you an example of what that would be like, is like your first memory. Like, do you remember your first memory? Your first conscious recallable memory. Not like a picture that your parents showed you when you were 2 years old and you're like, oh, I remember that because you want to remember it. No, I mean like your personal first conscious memory. That's where you can start to think of when self-awareness kicked in. Now, this is important for what results you're creating. I promise you. Just stick with me. So from that moment when self-awareness kicks in, the movie of Kaya kicks in. And every last one of us is the star of our own movie. And for those of you who have kids, you know that in your child's movie, you're not even a real person. You're just this prop that's supposed to read from a script that they set out for you that you didn't even know that you're supposed to be reading from. Can I get an amen in the chat? For those of you that have children. As a matter of fact, you don't even become a human being until your child is about 30. Until then, you're just this character that's supposed to show up the way they want you to show up in their movie. The challenge is they can't communicate how they want you to show up. So there's the interaction you have with your child, and then there's the meaning they create about it. Does that make sense? It's that meaning, because here's the thing as human beings. We create stories because we don't like open loops. Human beings hate open loops, meaning they don't like questions unanswered. Think about how uncomfortable you feel when you don't know the answer to something. Think about how unsafe you may feel when you don't know the answer to something. So, who's guilty of this? Give me a 1 in the chat. Watch this. You don't know the answer, so you'll just make the shit up so you can close the loop.
And we do it automatically, right, Elijah? I mean, it's like
Automatically.
automatic, like it's like almost like a survival mechanism for us, right? So,
100%.
yeah.
We need to close loops. So, why is this important for self image? Well, imagine you walk into a courtroom and the judge is 8 years old, the jury is 8 years old, the prosecutor is 8 years old, the eyewitness is 8 years old, and there's no defense attorney, no cross examinations allowed, and you're the one on trial. How fair of a trial would that be? Not fair at all, right? And the reason why that's important is because whatever, let's say it's your 7-figure self or whatever it is you want to create in life, you've already convicted yourself, judged you're an executioner, that you may not be worthy, deserving, or good enough, solely based on the eyewitness testimony of a child from the ages about 4 to about 14. That's when the self-image that Coach Pipes have been talking about, the idea of you, what you can do, what you can't do, what you're capable of, not capable of, all 85% of that was decided in the first 14 years. The challenge with that, whatever that idea of you is that it's limited because it was created by a child that didn't fully understand what was happening and was creating meanings and closing loops on their own. Does that make sense? Now, how does that play out going forward? Well, I had a client who grew up as, the poor girl at a rich school, right? She didn't know she was poor until she went to this school and she started seeing what other people had. Does that make sense? Well, how does a 10-year-old girl reconcile with herself, excuse me, why she can't have the things that all these other kids have? And how many of you know, especially if you have teenagers, they take things personal. and they make decisions based off of emotions. They're not thinking with logic.
That, by the way,
They
you described 99% of real estate agents right there as well too. So we take things
Right.
personal and we don't like we have emotions. So you're talking to us as well too. Like every single person.
We're all kids. Listen, we're all kids. We're all grown kids, right? And so how does a kid process that? Well, she says to herself, well, I must not be enough to have that. So when everyone's the star of their own movie, when you can figure out the plot to their movie, you can pretty much predict the rest of their life. Because whatever happens in life, we manipulate. When a situation happens, we manipulate that situation to fit our movie script. Am I still making sense? Hey, Carson, am I still making sense? Okay. We manipulate every scenario to fit our narrative. So, give an example. You have two agents. You give them the same list. You give them the same opportunity. One can get through, I think it's what Chris told me yesterday. He said it's 60 contacts to get one listing, right? And if you could just go through the numbers, you're good to go. But why is it that people can't go through the numbers? Why is it that they can't take the rejection? It's because that rejection, that no, isn't just information. That no is a like a affirmation that they're not enough. Does that make sense? Like who their self-worth is tied to the answer. So they can't take rejection as just information. Are y'all with me? So, because kids take things personal and make stuff mean about them, they'll take an event which is neutral, right? This is why in court they can't go just based off a story. You have to have facts. And everything's about what you can prove. And so an event happens, and then you have all these people given different perspectives. It's because we interpret everything. We want to create meaning. We're meaning making machines as human beings. So there's the event, and then there's the story you tell yourself to close the loop on why that event occurred. Are y'all with me? So this is the start of Kaya's movie. When she's consciously aware things are going to happen, she's going to create a story as to why it happened or didn't happen. Does that make sense? And if you grew up old school like I did, parents will be like, don't question me, just do what I say. Okay. But if you don't give that child a meaning, they're going to create their own meaning with their own 7, 8 year old logic. So if I put my daughter to bed and don't rock her to sleep and just walk out of the room, and I don't say, hey, baby, this is so that you can learn how to go to bed by yourself. If I just walk out the room, she's going to say, Dad doesn't love me, just wants to get rid of me. That's how she's going to process it. That's going to become part of her story. That's going to become part of her movie. And then when you weave a bunch of those stories together, she'll have this idea of herself that's not enough, not worthy, not deserving, not because of things that actually happened, but because of the story she created. Does that make sense? Okay. But then she's going to create solutions that she thinks she needs to solve. These are my limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are just stories that you consider true. That's it. They're not real. They're not something that's actually blocking you. They're just stories. So when people say, well, Elijah, how do I get past my limiting beliefs? I'm like, well, that's like saying, how do I get past this invisible wall and be free? The belief is just tied to a story that you've never challenged. Does that make sense? So it's not actually real. The story is real. The feeling, the feeling of it is real, but the story itself has never been challenged. So every last one of you on here has the ability, the capability to be a Coach Pipes. I'm not kidding. Every last one of you can be a Coach Pipes, and even better. The only thing stopping you or slowing you down is whatever story you have about yourself, whatever your movie says. Right? I can't believe that I'm not worthy of love and then be in a marriage that's got unconditional love. The unconditional love may be there, but I can't accept it because it goes against my movie. Does that make sense? My movie won't make sense. So you wrote the 7-figure version of yourself. My question is, does that version of yourself contradict your movie? Who you think you are? And the only thing you need to do to realize this 7-figure version of yourself is not do more work. It's not about what you need to learn. It's actually what you need to unlearn. Give me some feedback. Tell me what you're hearing. Anybody, unmute. Tell me what you're hearing.
Dude, I gotta jump in here really quick. I'm like, oh, I'm so adding a new component to that 7-figure exercise, which is uncovering what are the stories that contradict, because I'm looking at it for myself. Like, what are the stories that contradict or will stand in the way, will be a linchpin to me being able to adopt that, 20, for me, it's 25 mil bill. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like I would love
25 mil bill. I love that.
yeah. So, because for us to get to our goal of 1,000 people over $1 million, over the course of 10 years, the company needs to be generating revenue of $25 million per year to be able to have enough clients to be able to have 10% of them go over every single year. So it's a reverse engineered number, but and I know you're going to get to this. And I'd love to hear from some of the other participants, but how do we unravel that fucking story? You know what I mean?
Oh
That's where
yeah,
yeah, but I'd love to hear from some of the rest of the participants. You know what I mean?
yeah.
As well. Jump in. Remember, there's nothing worse than being a freaking speaker on a call and we see crickets and hear crickets and we see tumbleweeds when we ask questions. So, so if you guys would please,
Bring it.
like, yeah, in the chat.
Talk to me.
Hello, Coach. This is Vic Rosales. I just want to thank you, and just make me realize I thought I have had a tough childhood because my mom was so tough on me, and she kept telling me, "No, you got this. You got this. One day you gonna have to support a family, so you have to be strong. You have to be this. You have to be that. You have to do it fast. You have to be, So I just realized I'm a, I I I believed it. I just believed it, and I started. So I've been working on myself. I've been working on the story. I'm always striving for perfection, and maybe that got me to lose track of what's important. At one point, I was making money. I was building businesses, but I lost the connection with the family. So, and that was like maybe 10 years ago. So now I see the the power of the story that we created for ourselves. So I'm rewriting that story. Um, it's been years now. I'm back. I rebuild the relationship with my family. I gained, I gained the what I thought I had lost already. So yeah, no, thank you. I'm very grateful to be in this call and just to see that there's other human beings that are up to the same thing, just learning and open to what's available for us. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Coach
I
Pipes.
appreciate
Appreciate it, man.
appreciate that. And stay there, brother. I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Right.
And thank you for sharing that. First, I want to make a statement. Self-image is not what I think of you. Self-image is not what you think of you. Self-image is what you think I think of you.
Mm.
Does that make sense? And
Yes.
that is what controls performance. Who you think I think you are. So let me give you an example. Let's go with your mom for a second. She's telling you, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to be this, you have to be that. Now, are you a parent?
I am a parent, yes.
Okay. What would be the purpose of telling, was your dad in the home?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you, yeah, you know what? That's a good question. Because my dad, they're still together, but my dad was always working. He
Okay.
wasn't even on our birthday celebrations, you
Okay.
know?
So what did little you, how did little you accept what your mom was saying? Because she just said what she said. But what did you make it mean about you, what she was saying?
Well, one of the things that I remember is that I had to do it right the first time or I'll get hit,
Okay.
or I had
So
to do it
pause,
fast.
pause, pause. Look at what you just said. I have to do it right the first time or I'm going to get hit,
Right,
right?
right.
Your nervous system is still programmed with that as a grown man. That if I'm not perfect, it will equal punishment. Now, from what I understand from the game of real estate, it's messy. It gets messy, right? You got to go out there and you got to knock on 1,000 doors or you got to make 1,000 phone calls. And sometimes you're going to screw it up.
That's right.
But because you're afraid to screw it up, you won't allow yourself to go as hard and as fast as you want to or as you could simply because your nervous system is programmed with if I'm perfect, I'm going to get hit. And for you, it's not getting hit physically, it's you getting hit emotionally. Let me help you understand this. And for all of us, when I work with a particular person and I work with this called their value system, and we all know this, but I'm going to give it to you a little bit differently. There's what you want to feel in life, right? What is most important for you to feel. But there's also what is the number one emotion you avoid at all costs? Can you tell me? What's that one emotion? Not the one you just don't like, but the one that will shut you down.
Yeah, the rejection.
The rejection. Okay. Now, for
Compliment.
you, what is it?
Compliments.
Compliments. That's
Yeah.
the thing you avoid the most. Is compliments.
Yeah. Because then it's
Okay.
like, oh, they said this to you. And then next day you don't get any compliments. And then you're like, well, I guess I did something wrong that day.
Right. Okay. So let's go with the rejection and I'll cover the compliments. What the rejection is, here's what's happening when you pick up the phone or you get that no. Here's what's happening. You're saying, "Excuse me, ma'am or sir, could you do me a favor and tell me that I am worthy, that I am deserving, that I am good enough, that I do deserve to get everything I want to get out of life by telling me yes, oh right, oh yeah. And if you tell me no, then you're telling me that I'm nothing." This is what happens inside of people when they're afraid of the word no. Because no is just information, but you don't think they're rejecting the offer, they're rejecting you personally. And that's what you're actually trying to avoid. That's the emotional hit you don't want to take. So I have to get this call perfect. I have to find the perfect prospect or I'm going to get hit. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Now, the little you took what your mom said and made it as if you took it as I need to be perfect. Now I want you to imagine your son. Do you have a child?
Yes, I do.
How old?
Two two girls and a boy. My
Two girls
oldest
and a
is
boy.
yeah, my oldest is 31. Then I have Vic, he's 29, and then I have Eileen
Okay.
that's 26.
Okay.
I'm a grandfather. I have five
Oh,
grandkids.
there you go. So I want you to imagine one of your grandkids coming to you and saying, "My mom said the same things your mom said to you," and then they say, "This means that I got to be perfect all the time. I can't make any mistakes. By your logic, you have to look at your grandchild and say, you are absolutely right. Don't screw nothing up. Would you say that to your grandchild?
Oh man, I think I already did.
Okay. Now, what does your adult mind know better than your child mind?
Well, my adult now can. Well, you see that I'm the loving grandfather because I don't want them to go through what I went through.
Perfect. You don't want them to go through what you went through. Why? Because what you went through, the way you took it, made you feel what?
It like something was wrong with me. Like,
Okay, cool. Now, let me ask you, and then I'm going to move on to the compliments. Let me ask you, is there anything wrong with messing up,
no,
making a mistake?
no,
No. But your adult mind knows that. But your child mind didn't.
right,
So this is what I meant when I said the 8-year-old on the stand. Never been cross-examined. These childhood stories, all you simply have to do is go back and look at them with your adult mind. And this is the framework that I give my clients. Just like when you're in a courtroom, objections, right? My mom said I had to be perfect. Objection. Did she actually say those words? No. Then that's hearsay or speculation, right?
right.
You don't have the proof that what you made it mean, that's what it meant. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
That's how you dissolve those stories.
Wow.
Is going back and looking and realize you don't have the proof to what you said. That was your interpretation,
It was, yes.
but your interpretation isn't fact.
Got it.
This is how I help people do in hours what they can't do in decades of therapy. Because they'll say, Elijah, how do you help people solve problems so fast? I said, easy. I showed them there's no problem to solve. The interpretations create the problems that they then feel like they have to solve. But if you go back and just look at the interpretation, you ask 2 or 3 questions and the entire interpretation falls apart. So then there's no problem to solve.
Wow.
Hey Elijah, if there were 2 or 3 questions, because this is the meat right here, because I mean, obviously the recognition of the pattern or the narrative, right? The narrative of the story. And you just said something I think is super valuable, and I'd love to dig into this for a second. If there were, you said you just asked 2 or 3 questions and it begins to dissolve it. What have you found are the most effective couple of questions after you've recognized with your adult conscious mind, here's the 8-year-old, right? Here's the story that they're telling, et cetera. How do we what would those questions be that you found to be the most effective to dissolve that or start the dissolution of the story?
Yeah, simple. Is it true? How do you know it's true? What else could be true? Is it true? How do you know it's true? And what else could be true? Think about like it's easier to see it in other people than it is yourself. You have a team member who you just know is like, oh my God, if they just get out of their own way, they would absolutely kill it. They have everything it takes. And you think all they have to do is make 100 calls a day. That's it. I don't see how that's so hard for them to make 100 calls a day because you think you're managing behavior and you're not. You're managing stories. But in sales environments, because I was in sales for 20 years, get out of your feelings, get out of your emotions, and just do it, just do it, just do it, just do it. And it's like, okay, but then they're just going to go do it right out of the door because you're not managing behavior, you're managing stories. So the reason why they're not I was about to get canceled. They're not stupid. Almost got canceled that fast.
Oh, you're
They're
about to use
not.
the language that we use on this call all the time. So
I'm from the 80s, right? I was about to say not retarded, right? They're not. They're just there's a every call, right? Like think about like if they make 10 phone calls and 10% of their self-worth was tied to each phone call, every time they hear the word no, 10% of their self-worth goes away. Like they lose it. And they get to a certain amount where they're just like, I don't like the way this feels. I'm going to go do some busy work. I'm going to go find more leads, or I'm going to go do everything else but make the phone call. It's not because they can't, it's because there's a story going on inside of them that what they're doing is triggering something that they don't want to feel. So one of the things that I help my clients do is separate what's happening from the feeling that they're having about what's happening from the thought that's causing the feeling. Does that make sense? Because thoughts create emotions. So, and I do this with kids. Like I have a youth program where I help troubled youth and we completely shift their behavior simply by helping them recognize what's happening, the thought, the emotion that they're feeling, and then the thought. So I had a young lady the other day. She was like, um, something happened at school, and I said, "What? How did you feel?" And she was like, "Hurt." I said, "Okay, hurt is the emotion that an expectation you had wasn't met, and now you feel a sense of loss. What do you feel like you lost? What is the thought that you lost?" And she said, "My friend's respect." I said, "Well, how do you know that's true? Is that true?" She's like, "Well, that's what I think." I said, "No, sweetie, objection, speculation. In a court of law, you cannot convict based on what you think. So, how is that true?" "Well, I don't know." Exactly. So, if you're going to tell yourself a lie, why not tell yourself a good one? Why would you tell the one that debilitates you? Is this helping anybody?
Yes, yes,
Because,
yes.
hey guys, in the chat, just give a thumbs up if you've gotten
yeah,
something like because I'm 4 pages in. I don't know how you guys aren't. Like I'm looking at this going, oh shit. And now watch Elijah, fucking really confrontational, like to start to think about this because the ego just so protects itself, man.
bam.
Dude, and it's just like I want to be protected. I don't want to see this. Oh my gosh, right? So I'm feeling it myself.
Yes.
I'm like, no, oh, there it is. No, oh, there it is, man.
Yes, yes. Listen, the ego has three jobs: protect, predict, and preserve. Who you think you are, even if who you think you are is not serving you. It has three jobs: protect, predict, and preserve. So all day, you're scanning for things that will threaten your identity. You're setting up your life to protect your identity, and you're constantly trying to preserve who you think you are. And so, even though there's a part of you that says, man, everything this black dude is saying is true, everything he's saying is true, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to reject it on some level because I know who I am with my story. I don't know who I am without it.
And that's scarier than shit right there, is it not? Oh, that is so frightening of who are we without our
Yeah. And I'll give you the cheat code. Let me tell you who you are without your story. You're that 7-figure version of you. You're 25 mil bill without the story. That's who you are. Now I can go a full spiritual route, but I'm not going to because that's not what y'all here for. But the essence of who you are is think about children again. Let's go back to children. Why is it that they're so imaginative, right? For those of you that have children, like my 2-year-old, last year it was all Miss Rachel. All Miss Rachel. Everything Miss Rachel. If you don't know who Miss Rachel is, shame on you. But Miss Rachel is like a global phenomenon for children. But before that, I'm sorry, this year was Miss Rachel. Last year, it was all Gracie's Corner. Everything Gracie's Corner. She changed from Gracie's Corner to Miss Rachel, and now, oh, it's Katie. Katie's Simple Classroom in Canada, right? Right. Miss Rachel is my default babysitter. Yes, that is absolutely true. But now it's Katie's Classroom. Here's my point. And Blimpy, she has changed over and over again and did not ask me or my wife for permission or forgiveness. Because that is the natural human condition, to be whoever you want to be when you feel like being it. But you call that being fake. Changing feels fake. Why? Because at some point, society is going to try to condition my daughter that she has to be one way. And society wants you to be one way and lock into an identity so they know how to deal with you. But when you're free to just be, that's threatening to a society in general. So the natural, how you came into the world, is to literally change up who you be at any given moment and not need anybody's permission or forgiveness. So she doesn't have a story. She just becomes whoever she needs to be to accomplish whatever she wants to accomplish. That's your natural state until somebody convinced you not to be that way. And for me, I'll be honest. For me, it was, oh, you're black. Here's what this means about you. You can't do this in the United States. You can't do that. They're going to look at you like this. They're going to look at you like that. And so because I grew up with this idea, like I remember going to my first networking event when I was like 21, 22 years old. That's like 20 years ago. And I remember walking into the room, coach, and immediately was uncomfortable. Immediately. Now, I was wearing this shiny shark skin suit, but it wasn't really shiny. It was just, I ironed the shit too much because I didn't know you weren't supposed to iron the suit. You know when you first start. I ain't the only one in here that didn't know how to dress when you first started networking and doing business. Okay? I ain't the only one. But this is what, so I'm wearing this and I walk in and everybody white. Everybody white. Right? And I immediately feel uncomfortable. And I only feel uncomfortable because all of a sudden I just started hearing, look at this. He don't belong here. What is he doing here? He probably even have a real business. Look at how he's dressed. He probably here to scam somebody. And after 20 minutes of being verbally assaulted, I just left. And when my friends asked me how was the event, I said, man, them people racist. Watch this. It wasn't until years later I started working with the great Bob Proctor. And this is who taught me about self-image. And when he said that self-image is not what I think of me, it's not what you think of me, it's what I think you think of me, I realized, first of all, what I didn't share was I didn't talk to none of those people. That whole conversation was being had in my head. The whole conversation. And so I realized in that moment, what I thought they thought about me was really what I thought about me, and I was blaming it on them. Who's done that? You walked into a room or was in a conversation and you started narrating what you're saying and what they're saying at the same time. See, the only difference between you and the dude on the corner at 7-Eleven or QT that's yelling out loud is you do it in your head. They argue with themselves out loud. You argue with yourself in your head. That's the only difference between you two.
By the way, that's the best shit I think I've ever heard in a long time. Right? Like that is so funny. That is so.
Because it's true. It's the human condition, right? The question is there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that's the human condition. And it's just whether you notice it or not. That's it. Leanne.
So I know we only have a few minutes left. I'd love to hear one or two perspectives that you have about people's perspective and relationship and stories to money and how to reframe that to be able to exponentially grow financially.
Yeah. So let me ask you. Don't no come back, girl. Wait, you don't just throw a question and run. No, come back.
Okay, I'm in. I'm
Where
in.
you at?
I'm in. Oh,
where,
I'll chat
where
all
you
day
at?
long. Like it'll be
Let's talk about
12:30 and we'll
let's
still be chatting. Go
let's
ahead.
talk about you for a second. Give me a specific. Let's talk about you because what you gave me was general, but you're really asking for you. So tell me about you.
Okay.
Where are you
So,
now, and where do you want to be?
okay.
Leanne,
So
Leanne, do you have your camera on?
do I? Yes.
I don't
Yeah,
see you.
just raise your hand again so you can get pinned
Raise
back
your
up to the
hand.
top
Oh,
of the
there you
screen.
are. I see it now.
Yeah,
Okay. So, do you want whole history or you want short history?
girl, we got 10 minutes. Give me
Okay.
the cliff notes.
So I hit walls. Coach Pipes walked me through some really awesome stuff, showed me how I relate finances to 5 stages of death.
Uh-huh.
Over 100,000 in coaching and psychology and all of that. Nobody ever pointed that out. I understood how to increase. So in that, my husband started working with me. He got his license in 2024. And in that, that was our best year financially. And last year was our best year in numbers. But we went down some in the average price for commission. So we still did more. And candidly, I'm still at like 250. And I really like I thought last year I'd be able to break 300, and I am just dragging my feet this year. I'm just
Okay,
being transparent.
pause. Yep, good. What
And
did
I
you
need the
make it
money.
mean? It's
Like
fine.
we got
When
stuff
you
that like I need the money. So that's not
when you when you
I'm not.
didn't hit the number that you
Uh-huh.
thought you should hit, what
Mhm.
did you make it mean?
See, I don't
You did. Because not hit to the number you hit, that's just information.
I think I was still happy that I did better than I did last year.
Okay. So I was still happy that I've been there. So good. So what's the problem now? What's the challenge now? That you
I
said
feel
you're
like
dragging your feet.
I feel like I want to do the 7 figures. I've been in real estate for 25 years. I know the
Uh-huh.
scripts, I know dialogues, etc. And I don't have the morning routine. I don't have certain things in place that I know
Okay.
will get there. And
Got
that's
it.
my
I got it. So you think
okay.
there's something wrong with that. And Coach Pipes, where I'm gonna go with this, you're either gonna cut me off and say, forget that guy, we should have never brought him on, or
You go,
and
brother. You
I'm okay with listen,
go, go where you
Here's the thing.
go.
I'm
I'm a
okay
grown
with it, but
ass person. I'm a grown
I know where
person.
she is. I know where she is, and I just know, fuck that guy can come out after I say this. So
Okay. And I'm a grown
when I
person.
was fat, no,
Leanne,
hold on, watch
shush.
this. When I was fat, I remember constantly beating myself up in the mirror. Every time I'd walk past the mirror and I would see my belly, because uh I used to be like chiseled. Like I used to be a bodybuilder back in my early 20s, right? Six pack abs, everything. And then I got married, I started making real money, and then I got what you call a baller belly. So watch this, right? You still with me, Leanne? Watch this. Watch
I'm
this.
still here. And
So
I identify.
I would walk past the mirror and I'd just be like, you fat ass. Oh my God, you just look so bad. You look so disgusting. And I would just beat myself up, right? At the same time, I'd get up every morning and say, all right, today is the day that I'm going to get myself in shape. Today is that day, right? And I'll be doing good all day. But then once 7 o'clock hit, there was this routine my wife and I had where we smoke a joint and DoorDash. Now, keeping it real. We smoke a joint and DoorDash, right? And like at the end of the night, we would order like 3,000 calories. Okay. Because you ever heard Red Robin? Red Robin had this bacon jam burger that was just
Right
amazing.
up the
They don't have it
street.
anymore. They don't have it anymore. And it's a crime. That's an absolute crime that they don't have it. But all I'm saying is that it was like that was our nightly thing, right? My wife and I's quality time is sit in front of the TV and we would smoke a joint and we would order Red Robin. That was now after about 6 months, I kept walking past, and every day I'd beat myself up, and I'd be like, I'm gonna do accountability, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and I never stuck with any of it. And then one day I walked past the mirror and I said, okay, what's the truth? The truth is you want to be fat. That's the truth. How do I know? How do you know that's true? Please forgive my language.
Because you're on.
Because I'm telling you what verbatim what I said. I'm looking in the mirror and I said, how do you know that's true? And I said, because you do fat nigga shit. Right? 8 o'clock, you pull out a joint and then you DoorDash 4,000 calories every night. You want to be fat right now. And when I started to dig into why I wanted to be fat, it was because the only reason why I was so in shape for all those years is because all I could afford was chicken and rice. It was easy to stay in shape because all I could afford was chicken and rice. But the moment I started making 200 grand a year, 300 grand a year, 400 grand a year, like the biggest I had was like 400 grand a year. I could literally order what I want. And so all of my childhood desires and dreams started coming true. Does that make sense? And so I
Absolutely.
started indulging and I started eating. And my point is what I'm trying to say is you don't need motivation. You need to be honest with yourself because nobody actually has to motivate you to do something you actually want to do.
Okay.
That's the truth about being a human being. No one has to motivate you to do something you actually want to do. If you're constantly needing motivation to do something, the truth is you don't want to do it because there's a difference between want and commitment, right? I want to get up out of this seat. I want to. And if you actually look up the definition of the word want, it just simply is a feeling. It's a feeling. But if you look at the word commitment, it says restriction of action, meaning a commitment to something. There's a restriction. There's certain things you just won't put up with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we're always committed to something, and your results, Leanne, will tell you what you're committed to. The question is are you honest? Are you willing to be honest enough with yourself to really see what am I committed to? Because you can only start from where you are, not where you want to be.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I had to realize, oh, I want to be fat. And guess what? When I no longer want to be fat, when I truly, when it's an internal shift, I won't be fat anymore. Why? No one will have to motivate me to eat right and go to the gym and lose weight. Does that make sense? So think about all the things you've actually accomplished in life. How many people had how much of it did you actually need to be motivated? So what I'm saying is that if you're right around 250, you hit your sweet spot, awesome. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. That's not to say you're not going to go to a meal, but enjoy it. Because what you're not doing is going, oh man, I had my best year ever. This is awesome. You're saying not good enough. So
Yeah.
imagine you have a kid, right? Imagine a kid and they keep hitting base hits. And every time they come around and score, you're like, yeah, but you didn't hit a home run. How long is that kid going to want to keep playing baseball? You see what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
nothing I ever do is good enough for you. So look at the woman in the mirror, and what you keep doing is telling her that the life-changing income, 250? Are you kidding me? The life-changing income that she's creating is not enough. Go ahead, look her in the face and just keep telling her that. And then you wonder why you have this demotivating factor. Well, why am
Okay.
I going to do anything if nothing I ever do is good enough?
Wow. You just read my mail.
So, hope that was helpful.
Brilliant.
Well, okay. I've been getting text messages.
Oh,
People in the chat, like they're saying we need more time, right? Elijah, we will for sure have you back. And if anything, the smoking joint order in Red Robins brought you back for sure. So, like, no, kidding, of course. But hey, guys, um, here's the game. You need to take a look right now and say, what action am I going to take from this time that we had with Elijah? So I want you to take a moment right now. I know we're a little bit over, right? There's so much mind-blowing information that was inside of this. Thank you for staying a little bit longer. But would you write down in the chat, what's the one thing you're going to commit to? What is your commitment? Not what you want to do. I love that. I love Baller Belly too. There's so much I'm ripping off on this, right? What is it you're
It's
committed?
yours, brother.
What is it that you're committed to doing from this session that we had today? So take a moment and write it down. Take a moment and write it down. Greg Jackson, good to see you, dude. It's been a while for me. In the chat. Yeah. I got to tell you, Elijah, I love the pattern interrupt. Objection. What was it? Objection.
Oh, hearsay,
Objection,
speculation,
speculation, hearsay, man. I
argumentative.
freaking love such a great pattern interrupt to be able to look at it. How do you know it's true? Objection, hearsay, great pattern interrupt, give separation from me and my story. Like I am so using that now as a pattern interrupt for myself. So I love that.
It's all
Create new
yours, brother.
stories. What is the truth? Are they the only truth? Yes. Edit my story. Jim, I love that. Yes, Jim Rock. Brilliant. Micah, what about you, man? What did you put in there? Because I know with all the training you've done, I'm so interested in how you're going to.
Yeah, no, I have done a lot of this kind of stuff and I love it. And it's a good reminder. And I just simply put down, go back to my seven-figure avatar
Yeah.
and just kind of sit with that and review it and think about the stories that are stopping me from being that person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then recreate the stories, reframe, recreate the stories.
What are the stories that are stopping me from being my seven-figure version of self? And I love that. I love Elijah. I just think about being a kid. You could be anything. What were you today? I'm going to be a fireman. What are you going to be? I'm going to be an astronaut. What are you today? I'm going to be this. And then all of a sudden we had some moment where it's like something's wrong with us. We don't dream, don't big, but our natural state. And thank you for reminding us our natural state is to be whatever it is that we want with no boundaries or shackles on us. So you guys, can we give it up? Big round of applause to Elijah for the time that we got with him. And Chris Irwin, I love you, brother. Thank you so much, Elijah. Thanks for pouring in. I got so much that I can't wait to implement. And for the rest of you guys, this goes along with you being the best listing agent that you possibly can. What is the story you're creating about you being the best listing agent that you possibly can?
Can I just share this? Everything I just shared, you already get from Coach Pipes. All I did was give it to you from a different angle. But this is the stuff he's constantly teaching and preaching all the time. So now from going forward, when you hear Coach Pipes talking about, the self-image and who do you need to be and all, think about it from this angle. But the thing I love about the conversation that we had, Coach Pipes, was you and I are literally saying the same thing. And so you guys can't have a better leader than Coach Pipes because he's not only just helping you in your real estate business, but if you truly understand what he's saying, it's going to help you as a mother, it's going to help you as a father, it's going to help you as a brother, it's going to help you as a son, a daughter, a boss, in all aspects of your life. So truly appreciate your leadership, Coach.
We love you. And sometimes it's easier to hear it from Uncle Elijah than it is from Daddy Pipes. I'm just going to say
That's
that.
it. That's all it is.
All right. Can't believe I just call myself Daddy Pipes. All right, brother. You guys rock. I love you all. Have a great one. And I will talk to you soon. See you on the huddle tomorrow morning. Thanks again, Elijah. Can't wait to have you
Thanks.
back. Bye-bye, guys.
Okay,
Remember,
brother.
you only get
Bye-bye.
today once.
Thanks,